Now that I escape, sleepwalk away. Those who formulate know the world ain't king. Jail bars ain't
My guy, what's up?
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 88 of Speak On It, the Michael Irvin episode, the CD Lamb episode. And if you know anything about us, we're going to get these Dallas jokes off all night. I am your host, Andy Ocean, as always, joined by the smoothest man on the planet, Losty Mix. How are you doing on this beautiful Tuesday evening?
Man, it is a blessing as always to be here with you, back at it another week. You already know when you see this Nas fade, I take the hat off for the people that's watching. When you see this Nas fade, you know it could only be one brother, the good brother, Los D Mix. People, I'm so happy and glad to be back with you. If you're tuning into the audio, thank you as always for showing love, no matter where you're at, whether it's Google, whether it's Spotify versus Apple. Thank you for being here, people. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. That opening song, shout out to all my 90s head. That's Fugees, Ready or Not, the score. Not to be confused with Ooh La La by Tina Marie. I'll say that because I am a huge Ooh La La by Tina Marie fan. I think we might end the pod with that. But listen, I respect Ready or Not, but let's just say I think the Fijis kind of redid that hook. Mad fire for how they did it. But the original way that hook was done, come on now. Tina Marie was rocking. Ooh la la la.
You know what's crazy? My wife and I were talking about T and Marie the other day in Square Buzz. And I don't want to sound rude, but I still can't believe there's a white woman on this earth that had that much soul.
Fam, listen, white and soul or white and B, whatever you want to call it, like white soul, white and B. Listen, they be getting into their bag, and I be listen, as a music fan, these good white soul, white and B artists, I just be like, dog, if you would have used some of your talents back in the 1600s, this country's dynamic could have turned out completely different. Because like I just feel like back in prime segregation, prime slave days, having Tina Marie sing "Ooh La La" to the crowd might have stopped some ships from carrying mass amounts of black and brown people.
It might have stopped some rallies.
Oh man, it might. It really might have. And you know what I also think about? So we're not historians. It's not a history pod. No. But don't you think it's kind of fucking insane that I don't want to say white people, but the colonizers were literally filling full ships with human beings and transporting them to do work, to sell to other countries to do work, like cattle.
Yes. I would say cattle got treated better.
Yeah, probably. And then with that, people just want black and brown people to just forget like that shit like didn't happen. They trying to take it out of textbooks and whatnot. It's like, yo, nah. What the fuck was y'all on back during these times? Because this shit is insane.
There was one that hate that Clayton Bigsby. Yo, but it's
last thing I'm gonna say, and then I'm gonna let you intro the pod. I also heard in unrelated news that the creator of Rick and Morty is no longer he who also voices Rick, and he voiced like 80% of the show. They're recasting him. Apparently he got into some trouble. Found him in the cancel train, and they are deciding to replace his voice. And when I found out how much of the character's voice, I don't know how much you've watched Rick and Morty, but the dude does like 80% of the voices. Justin Holland is his name. 80% of the voices. So I'm sitting here thinking like, yo, dog, I remember what the streets was like when they replaced Steve in Blue's Clues. This is, what the fuck are y'all going, like you can put another voice there, but this is an animated show. So the voice is like super, super, super key. Dog, it's gonna throw I think you either end the show or, I mean, I know Rick and Morty is a money grab, but dog, a whole different voice for like 80% of the cast.
I have a confession to make.
You haven't watched Rick and Morty?
I watched one episode and I was like, I'm not high enough for this.
I don't necessarily think it's definitely an interesting type of humor, type of show. You definitely got to kind of engulf yourself a little bit in the world to kind of get it. Like I get what you're saying. You're not high enough because there's definitely some episodes in there that I'm like, whoa. Like, I don't know if like the most famous one is the Pickle Rick episode. That's one, but there's also another one where like Rick and Morty kind of discover that they were that there's different that there's other people that there's other versions of them out there that follow similar timelines. That blew my mind. So I understand what you're saying because they do got some trippy episodes out here, but they also got some funny ass episodes too. All in all, you can't replace a prominent voice like that in a very prominent adult TV show. It's like okay, you watch Family Guy, I imagine.
Yes.
So you know the dude, I forgot his name on the top of my head, but that dude did a lot of the voices in Family Guy.
Oh, really?
Well,
So like Regina King and the Boondocks kind of thing?
Let's go to Boondocks because you know Regina King did a lot of voices. So imagine if Regina King, knock on wood, did some crazy shit. They had to cancel her and they had to find someone else to voice all of Regina King's characters, or most of Regina. Like they just recast it for most of Regina King's characters. You don't think
feel right?
like I'm not watching it. I'm not watching it. Was good, Bam? Was good, Kyle? Bam said they had him get drunk off tequila to voice an episode. If he's not there, I'm not watching. Yeah, like he was really because Rick was like the smartest person ever. Well, smartest person on earth, smartest person ever. But he was like a functioning alcoholic. So like I could tell dude in there who voiced it. He was probably fucking drunk because dude he'd be like talking and just drunk burp. I don't know if he was acting with that one. What's good, Kyle? What's good, Danny? Go ahead, introduce us. Let us know what the podcast brought to us by.
As always, the show is brought to you by goingfor2.com. Head over to goingfor2.com for all your daily fantasy needs. Also, for those of you who want to up the ante in your fantasy leagues, there's only a few days left to take advantage of a 23% off personal league podcast. Someone from the Going for Two Network will go into your league, talk about your team, give you some advice. It's an hour. It's about an hour-ish. It's live and it's dedicated to your league and your league only. So use promo code EARLYBIRD23 and get 23% off. That's less than $7 per person in a 12-man league. Head over for goingfor2.com for more details. Get that personalized podcast. Get some insight on how you can be like me and win your league next year.
You mean like us, my brother? I also.
You did. My bad. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. You can be like us.
My name is I did win a league. I am a champion. I get to carry this crown.
We should rename the show Winner Circle because that's what this is.
Yeah, it is a winner circle. Although I will say we can't talk too heavy because after the Super Bowl, and I'm glad Kyle and Bam and Gator J is here. After the Super Bowl, I am going to officially reopen our dynasty league. So the league year is going to probably start back up, and
perfect.
We'll see.
I got some trades I need to make.
Yeah, and while I'm here. To any prospective members of the Dynasty League, there may be one spot opening. I was already informed that someone may be thinking about leaving. I'm not going to say their name. Well, not on camera, not on the pod. I will, but after I will. But hey, if you're interested in joining a Dynasty League and you're hearing this, hit me up. I can let you know who's on the roster. It's not a bad roster at all. I believe this is a playoff team, so this is not a bad roster at all.
Really?
Let me know.
You let me know. I'm gonna go talk to them before they leave. Maybe they have a little bit of fire sale.
Matter of fact, actually, I'm glad you said that because now I don't know if I should tell you because you're probably gonna put in a crazy trade now.
No, listen. This word that seems to be going around that I'm a bad GM or that I propose bad trades. I mean, but that's what you're insinuating. I'm a great GM and I make fair trades.
I'm not going to listen. That team, this is what I'm going to do. That team specifically, until he confirms whether he does or does not want to come back to the league next year, I'm not letting him make any trades.
Damn.
And I'm going to veto any trade that he makes until he absolutely confirms he's coming.
What if it's a fair trade though?
Nope. It's got to because if he's I got a scenario for you. If Dan Snyder decided to sell the Washington Commanders, if he was thinking about selling the Washington Commanders but wasn't sure, and a prospective buyer said, "Hey, since you're thinking about selling the team, what if I offered you 2 second-round picks and a third-round pick for Chase Young straight up?" Like, yeah, you may think it's a good deal. You may you may be aligned with it, but what if the new buyer of the Washington Commanders says, "Who the fuck trades Trey Young? I mean Chase Young." Can't, you know what I'm saying? Can't let you do that, Danny. Can't let you do that. Danny, come on, hit us with the housekeeping items. Chat with us.
All right, so tonight we're going to be talking about, let's see, the divisional round that just wrapped up this week. We're going to talk about those games. We're going to preview championship weekend. We're going to talk about some, what else we got? Some quick hitters. We're going to talk about Shannon Sharpe WYLIN in LA in front of God in America. We'll talk some WNBA. Kevin Durant and Stan Van Gundy had a very boomer moment, very old man, young man moment on Twitter. We'll talk about your Lakers. They trade for Rory Hachimura, and now you have the Los Angeles Wizards coming up, which is hilarious. And we're also going to talk some WNBA trades that happened. So D, you want to get us started?
I'm happy to get us started. People, before we get started, make sure that you are taking the time. If you have not already, make sure you're pressing the follow button for Going for Two. Make sure you're downloading our episodes. Make sure you're following us at @SpeakOnIt_pod on all social medias, aka Twitter and Instagram. @SpeakOnIt_pod. Make sure you're following Danny Ocean. Make sure you're following Los D Mix. Let's get into it, people. Let's start right in the divisional round. Danny. A lot of people say this is the best week in pro football, maybe in all of football. I'm right there with them. I don't think there's a round collectively in any level of football is better than the NFL divisional round. This week or last week, we saw Kansas City and Jacksonville. Kansas City got past the Jags, came away with the gimpy Pat Mahomes. We also on Saturday saw the Eagles beat up on the Giants from start to finish. It was not close. People, I know they said it's hard to beat a team 3 times. It's definitely not as hard when you have a record-setting defensive line. It's not that hard. On Sunday, we saw. Oh no. Let's stay there real quick. Let's stay with the number 1 seeds that played on Saturday real quick. I want to stay real quick. So speaking of these number 1 seeds in Kansas City and Philly, right? We saw both of them handle business, and now we know our championship games. The winner of the Super Bowl contendees will come from Philly and Kansas City, respectfully, in their championship games, right? So, Danny, I got to ask you now, what were your thoughts on the Chiefs versus the Jags? What were your thoughts on the Eagles versus the Giants?
I'll start in Kansas City. Is there anything Patrick Mahomes can't do? Like, you sprain your ankle, you come out, you come back, throw a touchdown pass, and you do just enough to beat the Jags. I think that's more reflective of Kansas City's defense because that team could have fallen apart. Like, Trevor Lawrence really could have taken advantage, and I thought Doug Peterson would have had something up that they could at least take the lead or make the Chiefs sweat a little bit. I think that's more of a reflection of the Chiefs' defense. And again, Pat Mahomes on one leg is still better than 70% of the quarterbacks in the league, which is absurd and bananas.
Yep.
I'd love to see how he feels next week against the Bengals. I'll say I don't think the Bengals are that good at rushing the passer, so I don't see him getting hit a lot. There'll probably be a lot of quick screens, a lot of 3-step drops. I don't know if they'll be calling 7-step drops, 2 hitches with Patrick Mahomes on a bad leg. So I'm interested to see how they game plan for the Bengals, who's played lights out defensively. We saw what they did to Josh Allen. Philadelphia, I'm not surprised. What did y'all expect? You thought Daniel Jones was going to walk into Philadelphia on a Saturday night and do numbers. I'm sorry, dog.
Yeah.
That's what I expect them to beat his ass, and beat his ass they did so bad that Gardner Minshew got playoff snaps. The Giants are cool, but they're not Philadelphia. They are ways away. They don't have the facilities to hang with Philadelphia, and they probably won't for a while. But good luck paying Daniel Jones $25 million a year. God bless.
All right. Well, he deserves $25 million a year.
No, he does not.
Hey, man. Listen, how can you say that when their head coach literally was a key instrument in turning around your starting quarterback?
Listen, man. Franchise tag him. Tell him do it again.
I think he says he can. He's looking at it like, yo, I did it with Jalen Hurts. I did it with Josh Allen. Josh Allen's better than Jalen Hurts and Daniel Jones. I think I can do it with Daniel Jones. But that's what I'm saying. Okay. My thoughts. Kansas City. Let's start in Kansas City. Man, I'm with you, man. Like when Mahomes got hurt, I'm sitting there like, oh man, Vegas isn't happy. Roger isn't happy. The league isn't happy. The Chiefs isn't happy. I want to shout out Chad Henne.
Yes.
I want to shout out Chad Henne. People, we often come on this podcast and say being a backup quarterback is the best job in America until you actually have to go out there. And if you're going to be a backup quarterback and you want to earn your year's salary, you go out there and do what Chad Henne did.
Yep.
You orchestrate a drive where all you had to do, all you needed was any type of points. Not only did he get points, he got a full touchdown. The full touchdown that ended up being all the points they needed to beat the Jags. Think about it. That touch, they won by 7. Chad Henne came in there and orchestrated a 7-point drive. Had they not, had that game go into overtime, I think we're talking about a different scenario here. Because
I think we are too.
I think you're talking about a Jackson that probably would have went to overtime with a lot of confidence. I think when I think of Kansas, when I look at Kansas City, I mean, Kansas City they need to firm up their wide receiver position. I think they need a very, very strong wide receiver one. You know what I'm saying? I think, yeah, you have Travis Kelce, and we saw what happens when Pat Mahomes really focuses on Travis Kelce. He can literally almost break a record for catches in a game. But when you also look at that, I think when you look at the Bengals and when you look at whoever they play, if they make it to the Super Bowl, I think a team can really double up and find ways to cover Travis Kelce and then dare one of these wide receivers to beat him. And I think most teams would be open to that. You don't have a Tyreek Hill that can really take a top off defense. You have a Kadarius Toney who's more shifty, more quick screen work. You have Juju Smith-Schuster, who I believe is more of a good slot number 2 receiver who can win a lot of single coverage when he's not the focus. I don't know. I know, technically Travis Kelce is the main focus on offense. I just think, as the Chiefs look ahead to whoever they're going to play, they got to figure out ways that they can create dynamic plays by people who are not named Travis Kelce. I know they got Pacheco. I like what they're doing with McKinnon, so I'm curious to see how they're gonna do it with that. Philly, listen, Giants fans, I get it. To it, like you saw the 0-2 thing. You saw how you guys played them a little bit closer the second time. Felt pretty confident coming out of the Minnesota game. Listen, the difference between Minnesota and Philadelphia is one team gets after the quarterback like no other team has, quite literally, in history. And the other team does not. And you kind of found out what it's like. 60 minutes had to deal with a defensive line that literally just does not stop. Literally from start to finish, you can just tell they just don't have enough. And I think if you're Brian Daboll and you're this Giants organization, yeah, this is an ass kicking. And I want to give a lot of credit to the Philadelphia defense. Offensively, I think their scheme is hard to deal with, right? Like you just have a lot to deal with. You have Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts who can run. You have Devontae Smith, who I believe he's a Giants killer, man. Outside of Boston Scott, Devontae Smith just gets off against the Giants. And obviously they have A.J. Brown, they got Quez Watkins. Like there's a lot of good athletes, in Dallas Goedert as well. But I think if you're, the Giants, you look at this as, yes, Philadelphia was the better team. They're probably the best team in the NFL, maybe with the Chiefs. We have to use this game as the blueprint. We see what it takes. We got to start building. And it would not surprise me if this year the Giants look at this roster and be like, hey, we clearly have enough to win games here. Now how do we start winning some of these other games, that these more closer games against teams that are good? It's got to start with the defensive line, right? You guys, they got something in their defensive line.
Yeah.
Lawrence, Leonard Williams, they got some defensive players, but you got to get more depth. Hey, it wouldn't surprise me if that Giants team does not take a single offensive player next year and they go crazy with defense, because that's what you got to do. You just got to get deeper on defense, and you got to just find gems on offense that can just beat coverage, and then now you got something. So I'm very curious to see where the Giants go from here. I think they're going to pay Daniel Jones. I think they're going to pay Daniel Jones good money. He deserves
Saquon.
They're going to franchise Saquon, and then, or if you pay Saquon and franchise Daniel Jones, you're maybe assuming that he plays on a franchise side this year, that you guys can get some cap space to pay him next year.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Speaking between Kansas City and Philadelphia, which number 1 seed do you think really make the stronger case heading into next week? I think I know your answer, but I'll ask.
No, for me again, it's Kansas City. Like it's got to be demoralizing. All right, he has a sprained ankle, and he still beat you. Like it's got to be demoralizing on one leg that man is still good enough to beat me. And like he was really, he almost was like Byron Leftridge when he was
Yeah.
at Marshall. Like he could barely walk, and he still found a way to beat you. That's got
Out
to
there
be
doing
just
the hand, out there
absolutely
jumping, hopping to get the handoff off.
like it's one thing to get demolished the way the Giants do, right? The Giants could always say it wasn't our night. Like I'd rather lose by a lot than by a little. Like the Jags, dog, we had him on one leg,
Still couldn't beat him.
and he still beat us.
What do you think about Chad Henne with the longest drive in Chiefs playoff history? Shout out to Research, aka Kyle. What's good?
He about
I
to
mean,
get paid.
what were your thoughts during that drive? I mean, I guess after the first down, after they got the first down, were you thinking, "Oh, Jags, all they got to do is get a stop"?
Listen, man. For me, like, and I hate to do this, right? Because I don't want to talk about the Chiefs like they're gods, but dog, like what? They can't do anything wrong right now.
Mm-hmm.
They can't do anything wrong. Chad, just play within the boundaries of the offense. We'll be just fine. You're not Patrick. We don't want you to be Patrick. Like, just do what we need you to do. Put some points on the board, and we'll be okay.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm with you. I would say I would go with Philadelphia for the stronger case for the number one seed. I mean, as a number one seed heading into next weekend, because I think coming into the game, people were like, how healthy and how healthy is Jalen Hurts? How is this Eagles team legit? Is this roster legit? Like, or is it just a really good team on a really good year? And I think they just went to that Giants game and was like, yo, we're gonna shut all y'all up.
Yeah.
I mean, that game literally was not close from start to finish. It was never in doubt who the better team was, who the better roster was. From start to finish, you can tell the 53 in Philly, which is better than the 53 in New York. And the New York team, they just got to go home and they got to really, really look at their roster. Like, that's the type of loss on that type of stage and that type of game that makes a team go back and reevaluate every person 1 through 53. Because it's like, we can't go out there and get our asses kicked like that.
Well, think about the Giants is like a lot of the receivers weren't healthy, right? Slayton was gone, Wendell Robinson wasn't there. So if you're the Giants, like, hey, if we have our top guns there, we've developed some of these lower roster guys. Like, if I'm the Giants, like, yo, if Isaiah Hodgins is my 3, like, we might be. I mean, you might need a tight end, but like, we're in pretty good shape next year offensively.
Do you think Darius Slayton is the wide receiver one the Giants need?
I think they need a bigger name. Like we've seen what elite wide receivers can do for quarterback development. And if you're the Giants and you really think Daniel Jones is your guy, if that's what you really think, then you got to find a way to go get a DeAndre Hopkins, or you got to go find a legit number 1 for Daniel Jones. If you're serious, if you think he's that dude, go get him something that can help him out.
Do you think there'll be a bigger trade name over the next couple months than DeAndre Hopkins?
I'm sure. No one knew. AJ Brown was whispers, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Maybe Aaron Rodgers, but we'll talk about that.
Okay.
We'll talk about that. All right, so let's go to the games we saw on Sunday, right? The other half of the the other half of the divisional playoff, right? So Sunday was all about the 2 seeds. In the AFC, we had the Bengals traveling to Buffalo, and from start to finish, Cincinnati just straight handed it to Buffalo. Right? Straight handed to Buffalo. In San Francisco, the Niners and the Cowboys easily played the most physical football game of the weekend. Yes. Physical, hard-hitting. Everyone involved immediately was in the ice bath after that game because that was a physical football game. Niners ended up pulling it out, punching their ticket to Philly, right? So let's start here. What are your thoughts on those 2 collective games? Let's start in Buffalo.
Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. Joe Burrow's right there behind him. I've never seen a person more cold than Joe Burrow in the playoffs. He's been in the league. This is year 3. He tore his ACL the first year, so this is like his second full season.
It's really year 2.
He has won, 4 playoff games?
He nice with it.
He has won at least 2 playoff games every year he's been starting full time and been healthy. Like, dog, we thought he was cold at LSU. Dog, did you see the video they shot? He's in the end zone.
He threw that ball, turn around.
Dog, as soon as I saw that, I was like, that's it. He feeling himself today. Whoever had the idea of letting the Bengals wear all white during a snowstorm, genius.
Someone was upset. They said there was a competitive advantage. I said, yo, Buffalo has white helmets and Cincinnati has bright orange striped helmets. What is
I
the
mean, for
competitive
Joe,
advantage?
it's like Joe, throw it to the orange helmet.
Yeah. And listen, just since we're here in Buffalo, whole time I was watching that game, I said, yeah, I see why they didn't. I would have made a case if I was. Whole time I was watching that game, I was like, yeah, if I was Cincinnati, I'd make a case. I'd be making a case of why this AFC Championship game isn't neutral.
Oh yeah.
I can see it. And if I'm also Cincinnati, low key, I'm saying, hey dog, had that one game kept going, like didn't get canceled, y'all would have got y'all's asses kicked just like this too.
Yep.
I don't think it puts anything. To me, it puts to bed the rest that game even needed to happen back in week whatever. Because the Bengals was gonna kick their ass. Because they ain't much different. Ain't much different other than the location. Bengals gonna kick their ass, man. Listen, if I'm the Buffalo Bills, where the fuck do I go from here, man? You have put so much money into this team, particularly on the defensive end. Yo, when was the last offensive player the Buffalo Bills have drafted? Well,
I
the
don't
last
know.
wide receiver, because they took James Cook recently.
No idea, but I do know they're $8 million over the cap.
And they spent a lot of draft capital on the defensive end of the ball. I don't even know how many Pro Bowlers they have. Maybe one or two, maybe Tremaine Edmonds, maybe one others. That may
Yeah,
be
but
it.
who was
No all pros.
Tre'Davious White was out this year. I think Poyer dealt with some injuries. Von Miller tore his ACL. I think Von Miller would have made a big difference in that game because the Bengals' offensive line is leaky, real leaky. But
When it
that
comes,
doesn't
see, when
matter.
it comes, I feel like Cincinnati can probably give you. Cincinnati was on like their second or third string offensive line.
Yeah,
They were putting second and third stringers out there on the offensive line. So I hear you on injuries, but Cincinnati said, what injuries?
that's true. That's what I'm saying about Joe Burrow. Cold.
You know what
I
I'm
don't
saying?
care. This is the fifth string offensive line. That's cool. Jamar, go run. I got you. Cold, man.
At what point does Buffalo think about a rebuild?
You can't now with Josh Allen. Now with that contract, ain't no rebuild. You got Stephon Diggs, you got Josh Allen, you got Von Miller coming back. Ain't no rebuild.
But you're already over the cap, and you can't keep all these people. Some people are going to have to go. And if I'm Buffalo, yo, I'm done spending money on the defensive end of the ball. We need to invest in the offensive end. Newsflash, I love Gabe Davis, great player. I remember the game in Kansas City. Went crazy. I don't think you can win with Gabe Davis as your wide receiver, too.
No, because it seems like the teams have figured out a way to take a not take, but I don't want to say neutralize, but Stephon Diggs is gonna get all the coverage. Like he need some help, or at least you
Oh,
need it
he is.
in the
They doubling Stephon, and they are daring. They're putting their best corner on Gabe Davis, their second best on Stephon Diggs, rolling the coverage that way, and they're turning the best corner. If this guy Gabe Davis does not do anything today, we can take care of Stephon Diggs.
Yep. If Dawson Knox beats us, oh well.
Oh well. If we do that, we can force them to run the ball. They don't want to do that.
Josh Allen's their leading rusher. Nope. Yeah, let him run the ball. Let's tee off on Josh Allen for 3 hours. Go for it.
And I had to sit there. We all had to sit there as the Bengals linebackers defensive line was just hitting my man. Pause. Are we serious here? So I guess between the Bengals and now we can shift to San Francisco.
Yep.
Damn Cowboys, man. This is what I'm gonna say about that game in San Francisco. Dallas, if I'm a Cowboys fan, this is one of those playoff games where you can at least say, damn, that was a good game. But you also got to be like, we should have won that game. And now you know how Green Bay Packers felt. Green Bay Packers fans felt 1 year ago when we played that same damn team. You look at it and you're like, this team's they're not that good offensively. Defensively, yeah, they straight. Offensively, if our offense didn't shoot themselves in the fucking foot multiple times, I mean, in my opinion, the Cowboys walk away with that game if they are 1.5 less turnovers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
1.5 less turnovers, I think the Cowboys win that game. Because one of those picks was deep in Dallas. I mean, deep in San Francisco territory.
Yeah, Dallas was moving the ball.
So, and I'm gonna just say this before you go. Listen, before y'all say, "Oh, we need Sean Payton," "Oh, Mike McCarthy can't get this done," Dak this. I hear y'all with some of the Dak talks, but I also don't hear y'all with some of the Dak talks because some of Dak's receivers is leaving him out to dry out there. Talking to you, Michael Gallup. I think we need to give one credit to the San Francisco defense, and then just two, just Dallas.
Y'all
Keep building your
really,
roster, man. Win your division, and you don't have to play that game. I'll also say that. Don't lose to the Packers. If you don't lose to the Packers, you win the rest of your games, and you split with Philly.
you the 1 seed.
You the 1 seed.
I'll say this. I'm not going to rip in on Dallas as I should, but and I tweeted this, and I'll say it. Y'all really thought a man named after the most useless states in these Americas was going to do something.
Come on, man. Don't do Dak like that.
You thought a man
Don't
named
do
Dakota.
Dakota like
You
that.
thought a black dude named Dakota was going to do something special.
I still came away thinking the Cowboys are the better team. Like I left that game saying, yeah, the Chiefs.
You thought.
I came away saying the Niners got the better defense. I really think the Cowboys are the better team. Bam, thank you. So Bam says in the chat for everyone who's listening, he asked, could the Cowboys or Bills have used Odell Beckham Jr. this playoff run? Yes. Let me tell y'all why. You saw what the Rams were going through last year with their undisputed wide receiver one, and then they just said, "Hey, let's just bring in a legit threat at the wide receiver position to be a wide receiver two, and let's see what that can do." And y'all see what happened. Not only did Odell score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, I think if he would have kept playing, he probably would have had like a field day.
That game would have been close.
Yeah. So, yes, the Cowboys or Bills could have used OBJ this playoff run, but I would say this specifically to the Cowboys. They passed up on OBJ to bring in T.Y. Hilton, who was playing well at that position. He wasn't Odell, but he wasn't playing bad. What happened? Now, the Bills for sure could have used Odell Beckham Jr. because, as I just stated, I don't think you can win with Gabe Davis as your wide receiver too. Gabe Davis was everyone's fantasy darling this year that everyone wanted to get a hold of. And if you drafted Gabe Davis this year, you probably played him a total of like 3 or 4 times before you said, this dude is so unpredictable. I think I'd rather figure it the fuck out with someone else than get frustrated at him on this offense.
Gabe Davis is part of a lot of trade dumps this year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Gabe Davis was this year's
Actually, you
Lakers
traded Gabe.
second round picks.
You traded Gabe Davis to me.
I did with ease too, and you traded him to Joe.
I did.
Coincidentally, that guy finished last. Good. All right. So between these two two teams traveling to the number 1 seeds and Bengals and San Francisco, who do you think has the edge on their number 1 seed?
I'm going to say Philadelphia only because Patrick Mahomes has a high ankle sprain, and that's going to be a lot. I'm not trying to talk like I was some grade A athlete, but I did sprain my ankle during a football game, and then I came back and played the rest of the game. I could barely walk the next day. Like that ankle lingered for months and affected me in other sports as well. So I know they're going to shoot Patrick up with something nice and something sweet, but it's still a sprained ankle. He still won't be able to put weight on it to push off to throw those deep bombs. I'm not going to say that offense will be neutered, but I don't know how explosive they can be if Patrick really. I know he has a hell of an arm. He can throw at different angles. He may not need to step into his throws more, like a Jalen Hurts or a traditional quarterback. But one leg is one leg. A sprained ankle is a sprained ankle. So I will give the advantage to Philadelphia for that and that only.
Man, that's a great answer. I'm also going to go. It's hard. I think about it. It's hard for me. I also go with Philadelphia, but for a different reason. I think of the 4 teams heading into this weekend, Philadelphia is probably the healthiest. If with some air quotes, they had time to take out the starters. They had time to, put in a little Gardner Minshew. I think when you look at the 49ers, they came off a really, really physical game. I think scheme wise, I think when Brock Purdy has to play a defense that isn't kind of fumbling over themselves, I think it's going to give him. I think it's going to give him trouble. I know we talk about the Chad Henne drive that put up the Chiefs. The George Kittle drive put the Niners up over the Cowboys. Essentially, that's what won the game. I think from an Eagles standpoint, if you neutralize, George Kittle, which I think they have the athletes to, and you find a way to get to the quarterback so fast to completely shut down Christian McCaffrey and shut down whatever sort of passing attack that Brock Purdy may have. I mean, it's going to look. I think that game is going to look similar to how the early part of the Niners and Cowboys looked, right? Because Cowboys' defensive line was really getting after Brock Purdy early in the game, so they kind of made some adjustments. I think that's going to be a lot of what 60 minutes of the Eagles and the Niners are going to look like. I think it's going to be very, very hard for Brock Purdy and this offense to get around. I think, everyone's always talking about cards in your hand and you get the ball and the weapons of the cards in your hand offense. Yeah, that sounds good until you got a defensive line and just shut that shit completely the fuck down. Now you're looking at this rookie wondering why he didn't threw 3 picks to 4 defensive linemen and they dancing in the end zone with the pictures. So I'm not saying I'm cheering on a particular team downfall because I can't really stand them, but I think the Niners get the Philly special in their season.
Can we park right there for a second? Because I don't want to be disrespectful to San Francisco. We talk about this win streak that they've beat. I know you do, but we talk about this win streak. So last night when I couldn't sleep, I just who have they played?
Who they beat.
Yeah, let's read off the teams that the 49ers have beat during this win streak. The Rams, the Chargers, the Cardinals, the Saints, the Dolphins, the Bucks, the Seahawks. They beat them twice. The Commanders, the Raiders, the Cardinals again, and then the Cowboys. Do you know the combined record of all these teams that they've
I can
beaten
tell right now,
including the playoffs? I included Dallas's record and I included Seattle's. Do you want to guess their record, the total record?
A lot of losses with not a lot of wins.
It's close. It's 83, 87, and 1. And that's throwing in Dallas, right? I threw in Dallas's record, and that changed it significantly because Dallas is the only double-digit. Yeah, Seahawks only won 9 games. Dallas is the only double-digit team they've beaten. And then Dallas, they beat the Chargers. Chargers won 10 games. They beaten, a couple teams over 500, but no world beaters. And then I was like, what's the weakness? What is the 49ers' weakness? Anyone who's watched the 49ers, elite wide receivers tend to have career days against them. Devontae Adams went off. Tariq Hill went off. Who else did they play that went off? DK Metcalf went off. Like it appears CeeDee Lamb went off on Sunday. Granted, it was an effort, but CeeDee went off. So it seems to me that if you can attack them vertically and hold off the rush, there's some opportunities there for some big plays. And what do you know? Eagles have not 1, but 2 elite wide receivers.
Very true.
So if this offensive line is as good as we say it is, hey, man, AJ, just go run. The safeties are great. The front 7 is great. The way to attack San Francisco is vertically. Look for big plays. I don't think you're going to put, a 7-play, 7-minute drive up on the board against the 49ers. I think they're that good at stopping the run. Jalen may add to that because they haven't faced a quarterback who can tuck it and run at the rate that Jalen can. Will Jalen want to do that with Fred Warner patrolling the paint? I don't know. We'll see. I just think the Eagles will have to pick their spots and look for splash plays and look for your one-on-one matchups and put them in situations where they have to tilt their hand.
Yo, I'm 100% everything you say. And I also want to just say, what the fuck is Brock Purdy going to do against this defense, yo? Like,
here's the thing, though. The 49ers offensive line is good.
Okay. I respect that. But what they going to do? Listen, you can't run the ball against the Eagles. So you got to take that. You're going to try that for maybe like the first 3 series, Kyle Shanahan. And then when you realize this shit's not flying, you're going to try to put the hands of Brock Purdy. And that's where I'm looking in the camera and saying, I have negative faith. Negative faith. Brock Purdy not better than Daniel Jones. If you shut down Daniel Jones.
That's fair. He does have better weapons. I will say, if I'm the Eagles, I'm doing everything stop the run. And if Brock Purdy, I'll put Darius Slay on Brandon Ayuk. I'll put James Bradbury on Debo Samuel. Amen. That Avonte Maddox is hopefully back and he can handle George Kittle. CJ Gardner Johnson can come down in the slot. I think he can guard Kittle. I think he can give Kittle some looks. Only problem would be McCaffrey out of the backfield, our linebackers. That's how you attack the Eagles rosters. You attack their
I
linebackers.
see. I don't think the 49ers can pass without running the ball. And I'm saying I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball. I think they're going, in their mind, they're probably thinking, if we do what we're supposed to do, we're going to be able to run the ball. And they're going to be enamored at the fact that a team is actually successfully running the ball, that they're going to try to plug up holes and fix that. And that's when we're going to try to take it over the top. That's what I think their game plan is. And I'm saying that's just going to get cut. Like that game plan is going to get quickly. Hands going to get chopped off of that one. All right, now put Brock Purdy out here and beat us. And I think that is where, like, it would not surprise me if this NFC Championship game looks a lot like the 2017 NFC Championship game.
Oh, talk to me. Hey, if it's 38-7 again.
I'm sorry, y'all. Maybe it's the Packers fan in me. Maybe it's the fact that I knew the Cowboys probably should have beat this 49ers team. I don't see them. I don't see it. I don't see their recipe for success. So I gotta be made into a believer. Speaking of recipes for success, let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
Can Joe Jordan pull off the 4-peat against the Chiefs?
Yes.
You think so?
Dog, when I tell you, again, Patrick is the best quarterback in the NFL. Like, I ain't even opening that can of worms. But we talk like there's just something about Joe Burrow. He the coldest man on. Like, there's a part of me, like, if the Eagles win, like, do I want to see Joe Burrow or do I want to see Patrick Mahomes? It's Joe Burrow because of that offensive line. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, the Eagles would feast. What if the Eagles and Bengals are in the Super Bowl? Whatever the over under is for sacks, take the over. Put your 401k on it. You can retire early. But dog, Joe, both of them are scared. But dog, Joe Burrow's just, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Listen, it's hard to beat a team 4 times in a row. But as I was talking to a coworker earlier today, dog, the Bengals are a matchup problem, right? Because they essentially got 2 wide receiver ones, a pretty good tight end, and then they have Joe Mixon, who's a really, really good running back who can pass catch very good out of the backfield, right? So essentially, when you have, he's essentially like a somewhat AFC version of Christian McCaffrey. But I think the difference between the San Francisco and the Bengals offense is, listen, the Bengals have 2 legitimate wide receiver ones on 32 NFL rosters. I think the 49ers have 1 wide receiver who's a wide receiver 1 on 32 NFL rosters. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I think it's hard to cover them because who do you double? You can't double. You double Chase, and now you're putting your first, or maybe you're putting your best corner on T. Higgins and then putting your second best on Jamar Chase and rolling the coverage that way. But I don't think anybody wants T. Higgins going one-on-one with anybody. And that's why I think the Chiefs match up not so well against them, because I think it's putting a lot of stress on their corners. And I think while their corners are improving, I've been seeing the growth and improvement over the season. It's hard when one of you got Jamar Chase and the other one of you's got T. Higgins. You can't ask one to switch to the other because the other one's going to put the other one in hell. And then in the slot, you got Tyler Boyd. And then you got Hayden Hurst. And now it's man on man. Let's see what can happen.
Now.
Yeah. So, man, I don't know. I think I'm with you. I think the Bengals pull off the 4-peat, but I'll put it like this. I could see, of the 4 games, I could definitely see this one being I could see this game being the not close game of the 4.
The Chiefs, Bengals,
like 31-17 sort of.
Ooh. Looks like there's some chatter going on.
Yeah, and I see the Eagles winning 31-6.
Oh, jeez. I don't think it's gonna be like that.
Maybe I just have no respect for this 49ers.
You don't have any. I mean, like, did you see? And this is why Fred Warner is so great. Did you see the Tampa 2? Like, Fred Warner is showing pressure, and then at the snap, He runs stride for stride with CD Lamb for the pass breakup.
Fred Warner's good.
Beautiful.
He's good. He's good, yo. Like
Beautiful.
Niners got a good defense. My worry about the Niners isn't their defense. That's the strong point. That's where they're leaning on. I'm saying, I'm just saying, I think they're not going to be playing the best complementary football.
Okay.
And that's why I think that score is going to be the way it is. Because
For me, it's like if we get up 2 scores, if we up 14 points, now it gets real spooky because that Debo Samuel run out the backfield ain't cute down 14.
All right, so we got some chatter. We got some chatter in the chat. So Kyle said 3 of the teams remaining have potential top 5 quarterbacks. The 49ers do not. Yeah, retweet on that. My guy Dice MP says the Bengals receivers were wearing white uniforms in a snowstorm. That makes it impossible for the Bills defenders to spot them since they blend in. This is basically cheating against Cincy. If I was a Bengals fan, I'd be saying that too. But I would say, if it was that much of a disadvantage, tell the Bills not to wear white helmets. Kyle says, I think the Eagles will be in the Super Bowl. I think me, you, and Danny all agree there. Bam says, Joe Burrow's wide receiver core makes him look better than he is. Bam,
Okay.
Bam, that's a strong take considering he was top 5 in passing yards, and I believe he was top 2 in completion ratage or completion percentage. And Jamar Chase missed time too. So
significant time.
And T. Higgins missed time.
That's a bold claim, my friend.
Kyle said to end this, to respond to Dice MP, I'm pretty sure the home teams decided their jersey colors first. So Bills chose their home blue, then the Bengals went rode whites as a result. Yeah, I think that's the case. Yo, speaking of which, can I ask you a quick question? How do you feel about home teams in football wearing white?
Depends. Like I don't like
a basketball thing.
Yeah, I thought it was a basketball thing too. I thought in the NFL, home team wore the colored jerseys, away team wears white. I know NFL has done some fucky things, right? The color rush jerseys that year, like one team would be all white. I mean, I am old fashioned. I prefer home team wears dark colors, away team wears white or their alternates.
So I'm in the mindset. So I'm with you. I do like the home team colored, road team white, but I'm also a fan of color on color.
Okay.
Because like no 2 teams in the NFL have similar colors like at all. Like I don't see any color palettes getting mixed up. I don't see why the NFL doesn't do more color on color. Like why won't like the 49ers, in my opinion, should be wearing their cherry red jerseys, and the Eagles should be wearing their Kelly green jerseys. And
Kelly Green comes back next year, baby. I cannot wait.
Or not Kelly green, their regular dark green. Dark green jerseys. Like you're not gonna mistake someone in red for someone in green.
No.
One helmet design has giant eagle wings on the other one just gold. So
I'd love the 49ers burgundy jerseys. Those are beautiful jerseys.
Yeah, like I'm a fan of color on color. I would say teams like the Bucks and teams like the Cowboys, y'all confused the fuck out of me. Like y'all really confused the fuck out of me.
Really?
Bucks didn't start wearing white at home until Tom Brady got there. I picked that up. I think he likes wearing white at home. Cowboys always wear white at home. I think that's like their preferred, because I think it was some superstition, right? Like I think them wearing the blue jerseys is like sometimes bad luck for them.
Oh, I didn't know that. I love their alternates. I wish they'd have wore their alternates.
I think I might be crazy though. I think I read somewhere that there's some superstition behind those blue jerseys. Like they prefer to wear the whites. Because the white jersey is the one that they usually wear.
Yeah, they do wear white at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The blue jerseys, I only see them wear like maybe once or twice a year because most teams wear colors at home. So the Cowboys just wear white. And then at home, they wear white. So the teams wear colors.
Yeah. That feels right. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe Kyle, can you look up to see if there's a superstition on why the Cowboys barely wear their colored uniforms? I'm very, very, very.
Well, it is
Jerry.
Jerry.
Also say good color commentary, D. I appreciate that.
Jerry not gonna wear colored jerseys at home.
Yeah, that too. Maybe that too. Bam said color rush uniforms didn't look good to him until he said color rush unis don't look good to me. I need a team to wear white. I like the white on white. Like everything white, and then the helmet colored. If you're gonna do the white on white, I don't like the white and then like your regular colored pants, and then like if you're gonna do white, do the all white. But maybe there's like a. I think there's another reason. I don't think it has anything to do with the white on white. It's like some guys maybe out there shitting themselves, so maybe the white on white isn't the best.
Yeah, that's a good point. Or you
Okay.
vomit.
Vomit. Okay. All right, Danny, you ready to get into the quick hitter section? Because I think we got some funny shit in the quick hitter
Yes.
stuff. So let's start at the crypto.com arena. I don't know if y'all saw over the weekend, but there was a basketball game between the Lakers and the Grizzlies. During this basketball game, maybe around halftime, maybe a little bit before halftime, seemed to be a little kerfuffle happened in the stands where Dylan Brooks was, Dylan Brooks is a real aggressive type defender, and he's real in their face, very vocal. Well, I guess Shannon Sharpe, who's a big LeBron fan, most of us are, he was out there letting Dylan Brooks know, hey man, you can't guard LeBron, which is regular commentary if you're a fan talking to the away team. You can't guard our best player. Well, Dylan Brooks looked over Shannon Sharpe and said, fuck you. So Shannon Sharpe, as anyone who hears those two words, said, fuck me. No, fuck you. and so they get into a fuck off pause. What is a fuck off to anyone who may not know? Well, let me give you a good old-fashioned demonstration. Here is a definition of a fuck off. Hey man, fuck you. Fuck me? No, fuck you. Nah, fuck you. Nah, fuck you. Nah, fuck you. All right, then fuck you then. Now, if it's fuck me, then fuck you then. That is a fuck off. If you haven't seen one of those, consider yourself lucky. You clearly are not in hostile environments or not in New York. Otherwise, so Shannon Sharpe and Dylan Brooks get into a fuck off. And what happens? Shannon Sharpe says, yeah, you say that fuck you over there. Come say it over here. You don't want it. You don't want these problems over here. So Dylan Brooks' teammates, as they're seeing, they're like, nah, we're not gonna let it. This our man's. So then here comes Steven Adams, here comes John Morant, and now they get into it. Shannon Sharpe, who has not stepped onto the court, he's still in his right to stand and do what he's doing. Now T Morant comes over there. So now Shannon Sharpe, and this is all verbal, no physical. There's no physical. So what you're seeing here, well, actually, there's a term used in the Boondocks and the type of moment this is, but I'm not going to go there. So what you're seeing here is a moment of maybe some black, how do I say this? Some black heated heads going off, but we all know if you've been to any maybe spades games, any sort of
yes,
any sort of black cookout, any black family gathering, this is arguing that is them arguing that shouldn't lead it to anywhere. So during halftime, Shannon Sharpe, they took him away, tried to calm him down a little bit. He managed to speak to Dave McMenamin, who when Dave McMenamin asked like what happened, he essentially said, yo, they don't want these problems. They don't want no smoke. Do a lot of talking, but they don't want these problems. Shannon Sharpe returned to his seat, finished watching the game from there. So, Danny.
Yes.
And the Shannon Sharpe versus Dylan Brooks in the Memphis Grizzly trial, who do you say is guilty?
I'm not here to talk about guilt or innocence. I'll say this to the young people. If you ever come across a human being that ever in their life had to use an outhouse, not by choice, but because they had to.
Yo, free our people. Where are you taking the culture right now? Because I know what you're talking about.
You don't want anything to do with those people. Anyone who had to shit outside with no indoor plumbing, dog, there's nothing you can do. Like anyone who doesn't know, Shannon Sharpe grew up poor in Alabama. Man had an outhouse. Nah, fam, I'm good. I'm sorry, Mr. Sharpe. Forgive me. I ain't mean none of that.
Calling him Mr. Sharpe is sick. Listen, in the case of Shannon Sharpe versus Dylan Brooks in the Memphis Grizzlies, Los D Mix rules that Dylan Brooks and the Memphis Grizzlies, you are guilty.
Correct.
Why? Why the hell would you pick a fight with a man in a cardigan like that? Are you shitting
Can
me?
you see? I'm glad you said that because
He was ready to move some furniture in a professional sporting arena in a damn cardigan. And Dylan Brooks, you came out here with a t-shirt, a black t-shirt, tank top that some said looked like it snapped in the front.
that man,
I think you should maybe sit this one out and just let him be a watcher.
dog,
Let your game speak for itself.
Shannon Sharpe. We know how muscular Shannon Sharpe is. Can you imagine if that did turn physical, getting beat up by a 50-something-year-old man wearing a denim cardigan, Dior ones built like that? The whole Memphis, their whole spiel is gone. Because all I
Nah,
gotta say
don't
is,
do that. Don't do that. Now,
yo,
don't question that gangster because they didn't want to fight their at
dog. Let
their
me. No, I'm
fight.
saying, like, if Dylan had ran up on Shannon and Shannon stole him, that's it. Like that whole tough guy Memphis stuff they pitching out to the world, that's done. Because all I
Well,
gotta do is call Uncle Shay, and he gonna
I
tell
can
all y'all little boys go to sleep.
now I hear you, but a couple things. Malice in the Palace, so we know that's not gonna happen.
That's true.
Two, Dylan Brooks. Listen, the only person I think Shannon Sharp would have maybe had to sit up for and really roll his sleeves up for was Steven Adams. And that's
Nope.
because I don't trust nobody. I'm not fighting nobody with 12 or 24 brothers and sisters. Are you kidding me?
Let me tell you something. Steven Adams, as tough as he is, and I know he got his Polynesian tattoo on the shoulder, long hair. He look intimidating. He look like Aquaman. Shannon Sharp grew up doing segregation in the South and had to use an outhouse. Shannon
Mm.
Sharp, no Jim Crow.
Shannon
Steven
Sharp got a
Adams,
list.
ain't.
Shannon
Steven
Sharp
Adams,
got a
ain't.
list. You gonna fight a brother with a list?
You gonna fight a
You
brother
know
with a
his
lip?
jaw wired differently.
Dog. Let me tell you, Shannon would have laid Steven out, no problem.
You see that look Shannon gave him, like who that
He
turnaround
said
look?
again,
His album cover.
yeah, his album cover. He said,
Bam in the
"Look,
comments.
look, dog. I fought Jim Crow and won. You ain't got nothing on me, dog. No
Yo,
sir, no sir."
Dylan Brooks and Memphis Grizzlies. I want y'all to know that Shannon Sharp was playing football back when they had a singular chin strap.
Yeah,
I don't even think you want those problems,
no,
dog.
you don't,
I
dog. Like
just and and on top of that, this brother had a cardigan on. Y'all was gonna pick up. Listen. Sometimes you gotta listen, and this goes to all my brothers and my sisters, and to really everyone watching out here. And at the Speak On It podcast and the Going for Two Network, we do not condone violence by any stretch of the imagination. We want to
not at
start off
all.
saying we encourage you to talk out your problems like respectful, young, and mature adults. With that being said, listen, if you in a situation where you thinking about squaring up, I need you to do a read on your opponent. This
Yes,
brother, 6'5", 6'6", used to play in the NFL. Clearly, like he still is on that same workout regimen. Chest is poking out the shirt. He is literally about to explode out of this damn denim cardigan that I found out costs like $3,500 to $4,000. So he is willing to come out these expensive ass clothes and expensive ass shoes to get in to come to your work establishment to whoop your ass. And you mad because he said you can't guard LeBron? My dog, you're talking about the second leading scorer of all time who's getting ready to become the all-time leading scorer. And you mad because someone on the sideline who maybe a little bit past his athletic prime is telling you can't guard him? Listen,
make better decisions, kids. I'll say this: there's a
good.
reason the referees held the Grizzlies back. Security took Shannon Sharp to the tunnel.
You know, listen, and this brings me back to a great quote that I once heard. That's very applicable here. If you see me in the woods fighting the bear, help the damn bear.
Yes,
And
that's
what did
probably
them NBA referees see in that jungle? They saw the bear that is Shannon Sharp, and they saw the person that is Dylan Brooks getting ready to fight him. And who did they help out, Danny?
Dylan Brooks.
They helped out Dylan Brooks. And they said, security, y'all deal with him.
Listen, don't fight people that have had to use an outhouse. That's a very easy rule of thumb.
Don't fight people who had to use an outhouse. Don't fight people who are wearing cardigans. Don't commit crimes with checks.
Easy rule book.
commit smarter crimes. If you're going to commit them, like don't hand. Never mind. All right, Danny, let's go down a little bit while we're at basketball and talking about the Lakers.
Yes.
They made a trade for Rui Hachimura.
Yes.
Earlier, it was either today or yesterday. I'm forgetting my date. They made a trade for him. Sent 2 or 3 second-round picks and Kendrick Nunn to the Washington Wizards. And now, from the Washington Wizards, we now have Russell Westbrook, Thomas Bryant, Trey Martin Jr., and Rui Hachimura. So, Danny, I'm going to ask you for your thoughts on this trade.
It's a fair trade. I think the Lakers got the better end of this trade. I think Rui had made it very clear he was done in DC. And I will say it's amazing. Wherever Kristaps Porzingis goes, someone gets annoyed or wants to leave, whether it's him or someone else, but that's neither here nor there. Lakers, you got a nice young piece. I don't think that's not like a championship contending move. I think it's enough. Yeah, you got to get healthy first. So a front line of LeBron, Rui, and Anthony Davis, that's a very, very interesting lineup. Or if you're going to bring him off the bench, but I think Russ, that's going to be his role, the 6th man. I mean, I think now this team ceiling was the play-in. Now I think this team ceiling, fully healthy, maybe the 5 seed, maybe the 4 seed, make it to the second round of the playoffs, maybe if everyone stays healthy. But I still don't think this is a championship roster. Like I still think Giannis would have ripped through this team.
I think if anyone, and as someone who's been watching more of the Lakers games, I mean, if you've been watching the Lakers games, particularly over the last 2 or 3, maybe let's just say in the month of January, this has been a team. They have been competitive in every basketball game. They've been competitive in every, like they're not getting blown out, and they are winning some games.
The Portland game was really impressive.
The Portland game, the same Memphis Grizzlies game that we're talking about.
Yeah,
this Lakers team, while yes, they clearly have some deficiencies, particularly in health and some other areas. They're not playing bad basketball. They're staying competitive, and they're giving themselves a chance to win in and night out. And they're keeping their record in the mix to be play in contention. And the West isn't outside of like the top 2 or 3 seeds. It's very attainable to get to the 4, the 5, or the 6 seed if you're the Los Angeles Lakers or if you're any team really, really in the mix. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is a good pickup. I mean, obviously, we needed some good wing, big man versatility to help us be able to stretch the floor. Listen, man, with the way LeBron's been playing, the way, Schroeder and Westbrook has been playing. We've been getting good minutes from Thomas Bryant. I mean, our guard play, even without Lonnie Walker, our wing play without Austin Reeves and Lonnie Walker hasn't been bad. Like, I'm looking at the Lakers, and I'm like, this can be a team. Listen, I think with LeBron, I think he knows, hey, I think he definitely wants to win a championship. But I think with him, the biggest point is he wants to be competitive. And I think that's what any great player wants. Like, you want your team to be competitive. You want them to be in the mix to potentially make a playoff run and build on a roster. It doesn't feel like you're just a wasted season. And I think this is the type of move with the type of momentum they've been building. Hey, man, you carry this into the All-Star break and you're maybe 1 to 2 tops 3 games under 2 games under 500 or right around 500. You can't tell me with some of the pieces that we've made, with some of the players that we have, that we can't go on a run in the second half of the season. That's my thoughts.
That's fair, because right now the Sacramento Kings are 3rd in the West. So do with that what you will.
And I watched the Kings and the Grizzlies last night. Yo, the Kings are serious, yo. I'm mad they don't get more national televised games. Offensively, that is a fucking squad.
Well, they now have shooting, right? Like now they can shoot. Now you can run through Sabonis and Fox in the post. Now you guys surrounded by shooting.
That Herter pickup was big for him. Listen, I would encourage anyone, if you're a basketball fan and you're not too biased in watching your team play, watch the Sacramento Kings play. Great offensive team. Shout out to Mike Brown and the staff. Danny, speaking of trades, talk to us about the big WNBA trade that happened. I saw you on the timeline with the sad emoji. I read into that same trade. I was a little sad too. It seemed like there was some inner works going on. So why don't you talk to the people and let us know?
Yeah. So the Las Vegas Aces and the Los Angeles Sparks made a trade. The Aces sent De'Erica Hamby and a 2024 first-round pick to the Sparks for Amanda. I don't want to mispronounce her name. Zahui. I don't want to mispronounce it, in their 2024 second round pick. The big thing about this trade is for the Aces, one, they don't have any salary cap. De'Erica signed a contract extension last year. After they won the title, she announced that she was pregnant. So she made anyone who follows her on Instagram. She said she feels as if she was been discriminated against, and that the Aces treated her badly for getting pregnant. We weren't in the room when this contract was signed. We don't know what assurances were given. I've heard things like, when she signed, they told her, please don't get pregnant again and again. You can't ask. That's highly illegal. You can't ask someone when and when to not get pregnant. She felt like this was just their way of not punishing her, but this was just the culmination of them mistreating her. The union is looking into it. But if you're the Aces, that's a big loss. That was Asia's only depth. That was a backup center. She was a good combo forward, good rebounder, good defender. So now you have to fill in that slot. I don't know.
They didn't get a player back?
They did, but I mean, the player they got back is going to be Asia's backup, but she's not as good as De'Erica. Like De'Erica is, she's going to be a starter for the Sparks. That's how good she was. She took a pay cut to stay in Vegas because her family, her daughter wanted to stay in Vegas, and she wanted to compete for a championship, which they won. So I mean, they won the ring, but especially in WNBA circles, when someone says I got mistreated for being pregnant, that sends the wrong message to the rest of the league. Like, who would want to come play if the union finds out that this is true? Like, who would want to go play for Vegas after they punish someone for reproductive rights, especially since that's such a hot button topic here in the country. So
yeah,
we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Obviously, you hope that obviously you want to show empathy to her in her situation, because I mean, obviously you feel like you being traded because you're pregnant. It's a big thing, I think. I guess on the flip side, if you're I'm just trying to think about, if you're the Aces, right? What brings you to make this sort of trade?
It's definitely it's probably a money dump, right? She's due a lot of money. They don't have a lot of cap space. She's not going to play this year. By the time she comes back, we're going to be close. She says she's going to be ready, but what does that mean? When is she going to be ready? So if you're the Aces, it's like, we're going to keep her on the roster and pay all this money, and she's pregnant. She's not going to be here. We ain't got a lot of cap space. So we need to find a way to get from under this contract. So I can see from the Aces
and from that business point of view, I understand. Right, not saying it's right. I think I understand.
Right, but it's illegal.
That's illegal. Yeah, you're right. Especially if they asked her, please don't get pregnant while they signed. I think that's wrong. Like, I want to make that perfectly known. But I guess if you're the Aces, what if they were looking? And I'm not trying. I'm just playing.
Yeah.
What if they were looking at it like, hey, we owe you this money, and we don't have a lot of cap space left. We recognize that you were pregnant and you're working on your comeback now. For cap reasons, and wanting to make sure that you have your money, and we don't have to do nothing like release you or nothing like that. What if we move you to we're going to move you to this team who already says they have plenty of time to work with you as you come back from your recovery. So you don't have to. You can come back at your own pace, instead of maybe they thought being on the Aces, wanting to defend their championship, that might push her to kind of come back a little bit earlier. Maybe she'd not be ready. And you know what I'm saying?
If I'm the
GM, I'm saying again, it's punishing a player for getting pregnant. I think it's unfathomable to me. So it's obviously, if they did, I think the league should look into it, and they should have to pay, because you can't do that.
Yeah, I think if I trade her, I don't mention her pregnancy at all. I say, hey, we're tight on salary. We're not trading Asia. We're not trading Kelsey Plum. We're not trading Chelsea Gray. You the fourth, fifth highest. Yeah, we're trading you.
How they even got into that conversation to begin with? Maybe they never mentioned that she was pregnant. Maybe they were exploring it because they were already short on cash.
Well, she is accusing them of specifically targeting her because she's pregnant.
Oh no!
And that she's been mistreated because she's pregnant.
I hope she has the right receipts to prove it, because I think if you have the right receipts to prove it, you good, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to find her Instagram post, because she goes into a little bit of detail of what happened. Here we go.
I just feel like them trying to move her contract to save money is Well, I'm not going to say I agree with it. I understand it from a business point of view, especially when you start thinking about cap space. Cap space probably is already smaller than WNBA compared to maybe the NBA. But if that's one thing. But like if she specifically, if they specifically told her, hey, don't get pregnant, she was like, no, I like this is something I want to do. She had the baby and she's like been working to come back, and they probably met with her and were probably telling her, hey, we see you as in our future and our future plans, yada yada yada, and then you like move her very short after. Yeah, I think the league should look into that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so here we go. This is I'm not reading the whole thing. It's a really long. She said they accused her of signing her contract extension knowingly pregnant and not telling them. She says that is a lie. She told that and that they questioned her commitment to the team, and they pretty much essentially back to the pregnant stuff. I was told I was a question mark, and it was said that I would get pregnant again. Right, so they're accusing her of she says that they're accusing her of signing her contract extension, knowingly pregnant and not telling the team, and then after signing, then getting pregnant again. So
Yeah. Who that's a because you can't prove. Yo, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think either side can prove the other one's right.
I don't think you can. I think this is hearsay, but even from the Vegas point of view, like from the league point of view, you can't have word on the street that a
Yeah.
team is out here discriminating against players who are knowingly or unknowingly pregnant. Like
Yeah. So I mean, they're
that
probably gonna
can't.
look into it, but I think when they look into it, they're gonna come out and just be like, we have no evidence.
Yeah.
They might hit him with like a. I don't even know if they hit him with a fine or nothing. It's like you don't have
No,
no
you
evidence.
if you don't have hard evidence, you can't punish them because that is guilt by association, or that's guilt. That's assuming guilt. But at the same time, I mean, the WNBA is only so big. If players start to hear, or if even the players think, if I go to Vegas and I get pregnant, there's a chance the team might, you know,
Well, I
you
mean,
know,
I think if you're Vegas, what'll likely happen, true or not, guarantee you someone else on the Vegas team is going to get pregnant, and they're going to make sure that they, as an organization, really wrap their hands around that individual. You know what I'm saying?
oh yeah, they'll definitely go way out of the way. Yeah, I'm trying to see how long Asia Wilson has on her. Yeah, like you got to get this straight because Asia Wilson is a free agent after this year.
Yeah,
Like you can't lose her.
yeah. So prayers to all parties involved. I'll say that. Prayers to all parties involved. All right, Danny. Last thing before we get out of here.
Let's do it.
Well, Bam in the comments said, check the emails. I bet John Gruden said it to her. Yo,
All
Bam,
right.
you're hilarious. Kyle also said there have been similar stories of pregnant women in Hollywood. That's interesting, Kyle, and that kind of makes sense. You know what, man, and that's one thing we as men really can't really too much fully understand, but the bias, I bet you the bias with pregnancy and women, getting pregnant is one thing. Because I think as we can speak as men in the work environment, when maybe women on our team maybe get pregnant, you can tell that sometimes there's some eyes, or I don't want to say eyes, there's some maybe preconceived biases, right? Because that means they're out for a little bit. And hey, I tell people, go do your thing. Don't worry about what's going on here, because we're gonna get this figured out. It's like when people go on vacation. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is
Yeah.
what's best for you. I'm happy for you. You go have that, you go have that healthy baby, and you know what I'm saying? Do your thing.
Do your thing.
Quick one that before we get into our KD versus Stan Van Gundy, because Bam brought up an interesting topic that I did want to get your quick thoughts on. So I don't know if you saw,
Mhm.
but Ed Reed was recently, I'm not gonna say let go, but he was fired before he was fired before he was hired, really, all because he had got on social media and had some comments about what's the name of the university?
Bethune Cook.
Bethune Cookman. He had
Bethune
some
Cookman.
comments
Thank you.
around their facilities, their locker rooms, dorm rooms, and he was kind of documenting it. Now I want to let everyone know Ed Reed is a Hall of Fame safety played at the University of Miami. This is Bethune Cookman, which is a historical Black college university. So you can imagine there were some discrepancies in the facilities he's used to, and facilities that he saw. He documented it. Wasn't the very most friendliest. You can tell his heart was in a good place. Delivery, not so much. Bethune Cookman let him go, and it has transpired into like I'm still seeing protests of people who are protesting his firing. He was very emotional. He led his team, like he documented it in a very, you know, he was on IG Live. You can see Deion Sanders who came in there, talked to him a little bit. So Danny, I guess my question or comment to you is, when you shit talk your employer and they fire you, who do you blame?
I'll take it a step further. When you get on the internet and talk trash about your employer who really not even legally your employer yet, that is next level Craig Friday stuff. You got fired from a job you didn't legally have, my dude.
He got fired on his day off.
He didn't even have the day off because he didn't have the job.
Nah, and you could at least let the ink dry first.
Dog, this university hadn't even signed the contract yet.
Yeah, nah.
Like, what do you do? Like, I have no any person in this country get on social media, talk trash about your employer, and let them see it. Get back to me. Let me know how that ends.
Now I got a follow-up question for the people. People, how many of y'all out here, if you're watching or you're seeing this, have ever talked shit about your employer to anyone on earth? How many people out here documented themselves talking shit about their employers? On earth?
Like,
I'll put my hand down immediately. Come on, man.
We talking next level.
Dry snitching.
Like dry snitching, no self-awareness.
Yeah. And I'm gonna cut him a smidge of slack because I could tell his heart was in the right place. His heart was in the right place. He was probably like,
then go talk to the administration, Ed. Or go talk to the dean, Ed. Yeah. Go talk to the president, Ed. You don't need to talk to your camera.
Or Ed, you got to ask around, because it sounds like, after hearing Eddie George talk, it sounds like a lot of coaches know what they're going into when they start coaching at these HBCUs. Sounded like Ed Reed did not. And you can tell when Eddie George was talking, he had a lot of grace for that. Listen, I think to Bam's point, he didn't want to coach at that Mobile school anyway. Go ahead, Ed Reed. Go see if Deion got a spot on his staff, or see if maybe Saban or somebody got some room on their staff.
Here's the frustrating thing about this, and how these like Deion and Ed, it work for Deion. It's these NFL greats that don't want to go to a PWI or Alabama and be on an assistant. They want to run their own program, but have no idea. When Ed Reed was associated with Miami, he was just a step above the mascot. You know why? Because the D5 programs are not going to put Ed Reed in the space he wants to be in. So they reach out to these HBCUs like, yo, I was great in NFL. You get some star power, I get my experience. Where there's going to be some like HBCU culture feels like on HBCUs, no one cares about sports. So sports are going to get the funds that they are at Miami or Alabama or, USC. Like,
if you're going to basketball, maybe,
but if you're going to coach an HBCU, you need to understand the culture before you walk in, and that will prevent you from getting fired from a job that you legally didn't have.
Oh, boy. Let me tell you something. Because you listen, if you're working at a job, you shouldn't even contemplate talking shit about your immediate teammate until the ink has dried, dog.
Like, you had no legal protection. You had no guaranteed money, no buyout. Like, come on, man. Like, I'm supposed to feel sorry for that?
Yeah, no. When I heard
that, I don't feel sorry for that, man.
At first, I thought they had fired. I thought they had interviewed, hired, and then took a few days and then fired him.
Yeah.
Then I found out he was talking, and I was like, oh, what'd he say? Then I heard he was talking about facilities. I said, well, Ed, as you're supposed to be the figurehead of the program and the university. What happens if in your first press conference as the head coach, somebody asks you, hey, Ed, saw your video on Instagram not long ago. Do you want to go into your thoughts on the facilities on campus? You think they're going to put you in front of a mic so you can with that platform and that voice to the world? And I'm a Ed fan. Like, I saw the passion, the emotion on IG Live as he was crying. He was upset. And you could hear Deion, I'm also very curious onto what you told him, privately. I know you told him right
Nothing.
then and there. Because
Nothing.
I don't know if you saw Dion like
I
talking to
did.
Ed. That looked like a friend that was trying to calm a friend down before this friend did some crazy shit at there, like where he was at. I feel like Dion maybe called Ed afterward, after he called down, just been like, hey man, hey dog, you listen, you're not wrong. Them facilities is a piece of shit. But you just can't go on. You can't go and say it. No, you can't go and say it. What you doing, Ed?
Like, you
Ed,
gotta
would you say the Ravens facility is bad before you signed your rookie deal?
like he got on the internet and said my office was dirty. Dog, it ain't your office.
They ain't even cleaned the head coach. They ain't even cleaned your office yet.
It's not his office.
Yeah.
It won't your office.
Yeah.
Bam, and he doesn't need to be a puppet, Bam. He needs to understand what he's walking into. He's walking into that HBCU and he's thinking it's going to be Miami and it's going to be nice weight rooms, cold tables, and massage. Like, no, you have to understand the job you take when you're taking. You have to understand, like, you're telling me he interviewed for this job, didn't visit the campus, didn't visit the facilities at all. That was his first time seeing the facilities when he made that video. He didn't go by there once while interviewing for the job. Come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? What are we talking about? What coach goes and interviews for a job at a university and doesn't come to the university?
Urban Meyer.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
Urban Meyer.
You want to be
Listen.
mentioned in the same breath as Urban Meyer, Ed? Because that's where we at.
Sometimes, as Kyle said, you have to read the room. Speaking of reading the room, let's talk about a funny ass reading the room engagement. Last week, Stan Van Gundy, great legendary NBA former head coach, knows a lot about the game. If you guys are ever watching TNT, he might be calling the game right now on TNT. He knows a lot about basketball, very well respected in the basketball community. He was on Twitter and he's basically talking about how, hey, back in his day, let's just say the 90s, essentially they had a medical trainer and like a doctor.
Yep.
And they didn't have as many injuries. Now there are whole teams on like teams have whole teams dedicated to keeping players healthy, and they're unhealthy at a higher rate.
Yep.
So he's basically saying, are we rehabbing them too much? Maybe causing them to get hurt more, right? Like they got to be playing more, and they'll be out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
KD says, "Yo, Stan, you spitting, yo, you spitting that shit. Go ahead, preach." Stan Van Gundy was like, "Whoa, I'm not spitting. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. I'm basically saying X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z." And KD was like, "LOL, no, Stan, I am agreeing with you, Danny. Is this what it's like when I talk to you, or when you talk to your OGs? Like, is this really the disconnect where we at now?"
Yes, I do that. This happens with me and my father all the time when I
Oh,
use, and he'll be like, "What? Who's spitting?" The same context,
Oh, yeah.
same everything. I think that is the beauty of the generational divide. It's nothing wrong. It's just hilarious. This happened to all of us at some point in time talking to an elder.
Oh yeah, especially my dad does not get the YouTube Twitch generation, and it is funny whenever I hear him talk about it.
Yeah,
You mean to tell me these motherfuckers just sit in front of the screen and watch these motherfuckers play the game, and they don't play it themselves? What type of weird shit is that, man?
you know. And I would say, you watch porn, you watching something. Never mind.
Hey, yo, whoa, wait a minute, whoa. Wait.
I mean,
Yo,
if he
right here, we got him. We got him.
If he telling you they just watch people play video games and don't play it themselves, I mean, what is porn but playing the game but not playing it yourself?
Nah, he doubled down on this. Officer, he over here. Officer, yeah, I'm on my gun and shit. He over here.
Drop that gem to your dad. See what he says.
Yeah, no, I'm actually not gonna. Yo, listen. The only thing funnier than like talking to someone with a generational divide, and yes, pause, Kyle. The only thing funnier than talking to somebody with a generational divide is talking to someone with like a raising divide. And when I say that, I'm talking particularly in the Black community, i.e., talking to someone from the street and you not someone from the street.
Oh yeah,
you was inside. Oh dog, listen. Dog. You can bring out the pause police when you're talking to someone who is not from the the streets. Someone who is pause. Fuck you talking about pause? What you trying to say? No, what you trying to say though?
Dog.
No, I'm just saying, dog. I mean, if you on that porch, we can take it outside right now. What you talking about?
Be as clear as a communicator as you can be.
Please.
Do not get caught in the T Morant Shannon Sharpe moment.
Listen. And I feel like if you black out here, you've been in that situation before.
Yes.
Now, I think I've been Dylan Brooks. I think I've been Shannon Sharpe. And I think I've been T Morant. I think of all, I like being T Morant.
Yeah, T was like, you know what? He
said,
saw Shannon was pissed and he was like, oh, damn.
He said, he looked at his watch, looked at his drink. I got to fill this bitch up anyway. I got something to say to you over here, Mr. Sharpe. Mr. Sharpe.
Mr. Sharpe.
People, if you have learned anything today, don't commit crimes with checks. Don't fight people with cardigans. Don't fight people who are from outhouses. Never tell someone what they should and should not do, especially when it comes to pregnancy. And most importantly, read the room and do not talk shit about your employer before the ink has dried or on wax in general. People, and I want to emphasize, there's nothing wrong with speaking your mind about your employer. That's how work environments get better. Yes. But there's a productive way of doing it. There's a professional way of doing it. And there's a non-social media way of doing it. And never do it the social media way.
Never.
There's never any context. There's never any context in social media. Yo, when will people realize there's no context in social media? That's why a lot of quotes get mistaken. People be getting canceled. Because, okay, it's the last thing I'm going to say. I don't believe everyone who gets canceled, quote unquote, is as terrible as they make it out to be. What I often see happening is a quote or something getting taken out of context. And when that gets taken out of context, the people out here go and find every semi-terrible, playful thing you may have said, whether it was serious, whether it was a joke, and they say, this is you. Any mistake you've made, they say, this is you. And they paint this narrative about you. And now next thing you know, you got sponsors calling you saying, we can't be associated with something like this. Not on my record. We understand this. You've never been like this before. You've been incredible the entire time we've been working with you, but we can't do this. Not this type of publicity. We gotta let this sit in a little bit. I know we had some plans and we had some marketing plans. We gotta push this back some a little bit. I hope you're not mad. And now guess what? Now you in a situation, you be like, so you just gonna believe them? I ain't never caused one problem. Now you gonna believe them? Well, if it's fuck me, then it's fuck you. And now, people, full circle moment. Now we're gonna fuck off. Kenny, let the people know where to find us. That is your Los D-Mix Words of Wisdom.
You can find us on Twitter and Instagram, speakonit_pod. Send us your emails, speakonitpod14@gmail.com. We want to answer your questions. We just need someone to ask us some questions. So ask us some questions, man.
Ask us some questions.
Like the off season is on the way. Like, ask us some questions, man.
They don't have to be sports related. They can be life, dating related, as y'all.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a love doctor. Y'all can hear about my incredible voice that when it comes to
pause. I don't want to hear the voice you use to talk to women with.
See, that's hate. That's hate. That's hate. Nah, that's hate. And
all right,
I'm in a committed relationship too. So before you get me in trouble.
I don't want to hear you talk in your voice that you talk to your girlfriend in when you hang up from this show. Listen, if the people want to hear that voice, y'all put it in the chat. He'll sign off in that voice. But I don't know if the streets want to hear the voice you use to talk to your lady.
Well, you can also hear this voice at Los D-Mix on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube. I'm telling y'all, the Twitch stream is coming. Y'all been looking at DJ turntables recently.
Do it.
Yeah, I think I just got to pull the trigger. I think that's what I just got to pull the trigger.
Pull the trigger. Thank you, Bam. Bam said, do not use that voice. Thank you.
So, Bam, you tell me you don't want to hear this voice? Is that what you're saying?
Y'all have a good night. Be blessed.
Danny, I got this. Before we get out of here, I got one song. As mentioned before, this song is Ooh La La by Tina Marie. Listen, mentioned before, y'all really got to get into y'all's white soul, your white and B bag. It's one of those bags that just needs to be respected.
Listen, it's always great when Twitter figures out that Bobby Caldwell was white.
Yo, one of these days we're gonna do a segment on incredible white folks that most black folks think are black.
That sounds great.
How many of my people, my skin folk out here, knew Tina Marie was white?
Barely. And I looked that up yesterday, like 2 days ago.
Distance myself to be shy. Come on now, come on. You gotta give him a hook.
Give it.
You gotta give him a hook. Come on.
Ooh.
Y'all can't hear this white being tell me. Talk to me, Tina. Love y'all. Thank y'all.
Peace.